Okay, so this is a match from Ugo. I'm not gonna play any of this because I'm scared that if I play this for 1 second, WTT is going to copyright strike me. But you can see he also gets very, very, very low on the serve return. But importantly, his thigh is above his knee. That's terrible drawing, but his thigh is above his knee, and his center of gravity is forwards toward the table. He's leaning very, very far forwards, and this allows him to stay on his toes and keep good balance throughout the serve return. Now, if we compare that to how you're standing, your thigh is actually below your knee, and it's very subtle. You're kind of on your toe on this leg, but your center of gravity, even though you're on your toe, is backwards, which is going to make you very unbalanced on the serve return. Hey guys, what's going on? It's Louie here, and welcome to a brand new VOD review. Today we're going to be looking at a match from, I want to say, KO? Not sure how to pronounce that, so I do apologize, but Master Roshi, if you are watching this video, I sent you a DM. I was going to review your match today, but this was not something I can review because it was just like one game from 4 different matches, and I'd rather just take a look at my DM. You're not going to lose your place in line, but I am going to skip you for this week, and then if you can fix this by next week, I'll let you keep your place in line. But today we're going to be looking at this match. He is using the Viscaria Super ALC 05 on both sides, solid setup. Level is 1500 to 1800, so no complaints from me there. Or current rating standard, don't have an actual rating. According to my matches against different opponents, it should be something around 4th or 5th Polish League. It would be very nice if you'll assess my level according to international standards. Okay, so I'll take a look for you. Goals are to... Okay, so he started training with a coach around 6 years ago from a low amateur level without having any base from the childhood. The goal is to improve my level, to find a club to join, and play a higher league in the future. Strength, spin in the forehand and backhand loops, habit to attack long balls, short game, ball feeling, blocks. Weakness is serve receiving, not being able to identify ball placement after bounce, not enough power in top spins, losing my position and standing up after the strokes. Alright, we should be able to help, or I should be able to help with some of that. And on average, individual training 2 times per week, 1 time playing sparring matches with several different opponents, 1 weekend local tournament. That is totally solid. And link to video match was in September, semifinal of local tournament, wearing the blue t-shirt and headband. It was a close match, however, I lost it 2-3. Alright, so let's go ahead and take a look. Our protagonist, if you were not paying attention, is the person on this side of the table. And with that, I hope you all enjoy the video. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. I have watched a little bit just to get an idea of what's going on. This looks like it is higher-ish ELO, because what I'm looking at is relatively advanced table tennis. It's not super advanced, but it's not bad. Like, both of you have very, very good fundamentals. So anyway, let's go ahead and watch, and I'm just going to point out things that I notice, and let's see what we got. It's really, really nice. That's fine. That's really good. That's actually fine as well. The approach is good. And this is the first point that I had a problem with. So the idea here was correct. You recognized the spin. You recognized that it was long. The only issue is that you are very tentative on this shot. Tentative as in you're scared to swing. So if we go back to the first point of the match, you got a similar depth ball to your forehand and you went boomba straight through that ball. Not like a full speed boomba, but it was a high quality ball. You had no fear of missing. And then if we compare even this backhand that you missed, I mean, it's the first serve, so whatever, but like there's this tentativeness, this uncertainty. And then on this serve, even though it lands, again, you have like this tentativeness as you're playing the shot. It doesn't look like you know for sure what you want to do with this ball. You're like, oh, maybe, okay, let me just throw it up. And so it allows him to punish that ball and then forces you to play a difficult shot. But it's the first couple serves of the game, it's fine. Very nice serves on your end. That's perfect. That's very good. This is a mental mistake. Again, it's early, so I'm not too worried about it. But your serve return, the idea for your serve return is perfect, and you just, I guess, kind of forgot your own plan. Like, okay, you got this serve. You could have hit it. It was long, but you didn't. It's fine. Your push was good enough to stop him from looping. The placement was excellent, deep into the corner, but you have to understand why you're pushing. So you push here, he's not going to loop. That next ball's always, or not always, but almost always going to just get pushed back across court. So the second that you play this push, you should be already at this point getting ready to attack. And if you are feeling the backhand, that means you should already be preparing for the backhand loop at this point, or you should already be pivoting and getting ready to step around and play a forehand right here. But instead, you're kind of not sure for some reason that his placement's going to come back across court, and so you push. And so the second that you push, no matter how excellent the rally is, well, you've just let him attack first, and now you're playing defensive for the rest point. So if you win this point from this position, it's a miracle. But you can't expect to win the point like this because you've given him all the control in the rally. So it's just too hard. And so, again, he's just wailing on these balls. Great idea. You're tentative on the backhand. Your technique is not bad. Your backhand technique is not bad. Like your forehand, you are fluid. You are hitting through the ball. You're accelerating. You need that level of confidence on your backhand. And really, at least right now, I don't see much issue with the technique itself. Or maybe there. Hang on. No, your technique is alright. It's not bad. You're just tentative. You need to accelerate. Great idea. That's fine. Ooh, we take those. We take those. But same. Just the reason that point wasn't comfortable is because you're tentative on the back end. Like, you almost have to be, I don't want to say cocky, but like, go into the shot with the mentality, like the way you're playing the shot right now, it looks like if this ball lands, you will be surprised if your own backhand lands. You should have the mentality that you'll be surprised if the ball misses. Have some fun with the shot if you need to kind of loosen yourself up and be more confident. So like this one, play it around the net. Go for a crazy wide angle right here. Or do some more funky stuff with the backhand. Have some fun with the shot. Because I think you're so worried about missing on the shot that you're making yourself tentative and losing quality. And so you're kind of over-exaggerating the motion to make it safer when that's actually making the shot riskier. That's very good. That's very, very good. Really nice serves as well. Nice. Nice. Perfect. Perfect. That's fine. No thought process on the push. Again, should the serve in a perfect world be hit? Probably. I mean, it's hard to see. Yeah, that serve can be hit. It can be flipped. It can be hit with the forehand. But you push. And he hasn't really proven that he's going to punish your push. So it's not a huge deal. But if you're going to push, it has to have some purpose. And this is just a push that you did because you didn't think you could hit the ball. And so there's no anything behind this push. It's the worst possible placement for the push. He can play this ball right here. He can play this ball right here. He can play this ball to the middle. He has so many options with this ball that there's no way to play a predictable style. Like there's no way to predict what he is going to do against it. Whereas if you had pushed right here, okay, now you can try to anticipate a forehand counter loop game and just kind of have the backhand block in the back of your mind. Or you had pushed right here, now you can kind of expect the ball more on this side of the table. And it gives yourself more opportunities to set up combinations. Which I think you know that, it's just you won the point. But like getting into a point like that, it's not the shot that missed that is the issue, it's the preceding shot. That's fine. Too many pushes, but overall not bad at all. Too tentative. Too tentative. You won the point, but... Ooh! Ready position's a little bit off. That's better. Nice. Yeah, that backhand was a lot more confident. It was better. You're not conscious of your placement on the shot. Your technique is fine. It's a little over-exaggerated. It's really not bad enough to warrant, like, needing to really drill down on the technique. You just need more repetition on it, because the fundamental motion is fine. But there's no... I don't think you're consciously aware of your placement relative to where he's standing, because this is, like, exactly where he wants you to loop. And he's got a big weakness right here. He's got a big weakness right here. And just playing this same shot with the same quality and the confidence you had here with a little bit better placement would set you up better. I know you mentioned serve returns in your thing, but so far serve returns haven't been bad. That's beautiful. That's really, really good. Your weight on your feet is a little bit weird. So, yeah, your weight is not completely forwards here. There's nothing wrong inherently with getting really low on the ready position like this. I mean, like, Hugo Calderano does it. There's players that get low like this on the ready position. But your balance is wrong. You're almost a little... Let me pull up Hugo so you can see the difference side by side. Because your weight is... Your weight distribution is off here. And it's making you unbalanced on the serve return. Okay, so this is a match from Hugo. I'm not going to play any of this because I'm scared that if I play this for 1 second, WTT is going to copyright strike me. But you can see he also gets very, very, very low on the serve return. But importantly, his thigh is above his knee. That's terrible drawing, but his thigh is above his knee. And his center of gravity is forwards, toward the table. He's leaning very, very far forwards. And this allows him to stay on his toes and keep good balance throughout the serve return. Now if we compare that to how you're standing, your thigh is actually below your knee, and it's very subtle. You're kind of on your toe on this leg, but your center of gravity, even though you're on your toe, is backwards, which is going to make you very unbalanced on the serve return. So now if we go and look how your feet move when you return the serve, you actually end up on your heel. So this is fine, you're standing up a little bit. Your weight, center of gravity is not forward enough right here. And so your momentum naturally carries you kind of backwards. You can see right there before it carries you forwards. And you step, this ball needs to be hit. But the point I'm making is just the serve return ready position. And even the ready position on your own serve is a little bit suboptimal. It's not a huge deal, but I wanted to point it out just so you're aware. I think I'll keep watching, but I think you might just be a little bit backwards in terms of your priorities. That's good. That's fine, that's fine. You survived. Nice. That's really good. That's really, really good. Yeah, so your priorities are backwards. Or maybe you're just tentative again. But I've said it to some people before, and I think it applies to you a lot. You kind of need to have in the back of your mind plan A, plan B. And generally speaking, as a right-handed player on serve return, first idea should be the ball is going to come long to my backhand, and I will loop with my backhand. If not here, then the ball's going to come long to my forehand, and I will loop my forehand. And if not either of these two balls, I will react to everything else until you are absolutely perfect at always hitting this ball and always hitting this ball. And then if it's short, you just step in and you react to that because it's very easy to react to. Now, eventually, as you play someone, you'll be able to anticipate different things more. Like you might pick up, maybe he does a certain action, and every time he does that action, it's a short serve to the forehand. Well, once you're at that point where you have the pattern recognition and you're aware just from you knowing your opponent that he's going to go somewhere, well, then you can change your priorities. Maybe you're ready for this for a split second, but really this is in the back of your mind. Or vice versa. If you know that he always serves right here to your backhand, maybe you have this shot first in the back of your mind. But as kind of a default approach, when you're not sure, you have to expect this as the first option, expect this as the second option, and react to everything else. Because then you will never, ever, ever be caught pushing a long ball. The only way that you can be caught pushing a long ball to your forehand or kind of this crossover step is if you weren't ready to loop immediately. And my guess here is that you weren't expecting this ball. For a split second, you were ready to push instead of being ready to loop. And so you give him all the control in the point. That's good. That's fine. It's a good miss. Too tentative again. I want to see you swing it a little bit more on the back end. Obviously, you need to come more forwards there, but that's fine. He's a good player. Your opponent is a very good player. You're a good player too, but your opponent is very solid. That's good. That's very good. Nice. Very good. A lot of it's almost mental. Like when you execute the things that I'm noticing, you win the points. It's a lot of it is just coming down to execution. This is fine. That's just something you need more repetition on, but there's nothing inherently bad there. Same. Yeah, the whole issue stems from not hitting the serve. You need to expect this ball to be long. And then if it's short, react. And then on the push, you need the same idea. So you push, he pushes, and it should be the same idea. You push to the backhand, it's as if you just served right here, or he's serving to you. You're ready for this ball, ready to loop backhand. If not there, you're ready to loop this ball, and then react to everything else. You can't be ready for the push because then you'll never react to the loop when you get the opportunity. And so you're giving him a lot of control in the point. That's good. Now the other thing that I will note is, and I know we're only a couple games in, but you don't have enough variation in your serves. You have good serves, you have very good third balls, but I guarantee that he's not worried about your serve. He's not standing there shaking because you have a killer serve. You have a good serve, but he knows that worst case scenario, he can just push to you wherever he wants and he'll have full control of the point. So you need to mix in some... It's hard to learn on the backhand, but I'm sure considering how good your backhand serve is, you need to develop some ridiculously well-placed, call them like rocket serves, deep into this corner so that he has that in the back of his mind. You need to develop one that jams him in the middle. You need to move the ball around more on the serve. Not every time because, again, you want your bread and butter, but you need more variation in your kind of non-standard serves when you are changing something, because that will make your bread and butter even more effective because he won't necessarily be ready for it all the time. And right now you're just playing a very, very standard game. There's nothing special about kind of the serves. There's nothing crazy about what you're doing. And you're already at a relatively advanced level. And to get to the next level, partially, along with just physical, getting stronger and getting shot quality higher, you need that kind of flashiness to your game. Yeah, his loops have good quality at a very, very high level, and this is something that you would have to hone in practice because it's not something you're going to be able to just do with me telling you to do. It's a new shot that you're going to have to develop. But if you really, at a very, very high level, there will become a point, even when you fix the serves and the serves are perfect and the attacks are perfect and you play really well, your opponent is still going to attack and you need a way to put them under pressure. And if the block is not working, the shot that you need to develop here is a small backhand counter loop. It doesn't have to be a big boomba, but you need just a small rotation with the wrist down the line. Maybe even hooking out wide this way. And developing that sort of shot will be very, very, very effective against players like this. If it's a situation where you are playing very well, getting into the rallies, and then if you're playing very well, but he's still able to get himself into the rallies, then that's kind of a shot you need to develop. Or you need to hone down the block, because just a standard block, if you're just blocking, should never miss. Yeah, no, you're fine. That's a good miss. That's just mental. And kind of like with the serves, I'd love if you did some more funky stuff on the serve return. Like, obviously, when it's long, you want to hit it, but you also can throw in variation. At the level you're at right now, you don't need to play. Once you're at this kind of point and you want to get to the higher level, part of that is doing what is unexpected and kind of adding more variation and shots to your arsenal to give players a hard time. What if you took this serve and played like a fade shot, like a fade flip right here, even if it was long, took that serve? I bet that would tie him in knots. What if you took this serve, you didn't want to loop it, and you just pushed it right here, like really wide out to his forehand? I bet that would give him a hard time. You're playing a very simple game, which is good, but this type of game will only, without developing monstrously powerful shots and having perfect consistency, which you need a lot of training to develop, which you can do. The other thing you can do just to improve your game is add more flair to your game. More variation. Like the way he's playing is actually a pretty good example. So like this is just a repeat of a point we've seen several times now. And you're just feeding him. And I'll note it again, it all stems from not hitting that first ball. Everything else that I'm talking about is a moot point, because from the serve, there's no reason not to hit that ball. You need to just let the ball bounce. Basically, ready to loop, ready to loop, ready to loop, until you're like, oh wait, I really can't loop this ball. And then only when you're like, I really genuinely cannot loop this ball, do you switch to the push. But you have the approach a little bit backwards right now. Yeah, and then you're just getting into these 50-50s, your quality is not as good as his, and so he wins. Yeah, like that serve especially, you won the point there. Like if I'm playing this person, I'm winning the point with a fade right here. Like that is such a perfect serve to do that shot. And it would make him so uncomfortable because the ball would be hooking as he's trying to step around. Or if I did want to push this way, maybe I'd challenge him really wide, or I'd go right here. You need a little bit more quality in the serve returns, and the quality doesn't necessarily have to come from really fast shots or fancy forehand flips or banana flips or strawberries. It just needs more quality in general, and that can be from your placement, that can be from your spin variation, that can be from the depth or shortness of your shot. That can be from deception, but right now you're just playing very standard. Like, this is exactly what he wants. He's serving, you're pushing, you're giving him a perfect ball to loop, and then all of the point is in his hands. That was better. At least it was short. That was good. But there's nothing, he's not uncomfortable. You're not doing anything to make him uncomfortable. And you're not even trying to find things that make him uncomfortable so that you can then exploit that. And again on the serve, it's just the same over and over again. There's some spin variation, sometimes it's topside, sometimes it's backside. But there's no variation in the velocity, there's no variation in the placement. They're mainly to the middle, sometimes to the back end. That's good. Yeah, placement again, not perfect. It was good that you went for the shot, but you need to focus on your placement. Your shot quality in terms of your placement, because the quality of the shot is good enough. The velocity is decent, the spin is decent, the technique is decent, the placement is not decent. This is just setting yourself up for failure. And then you do the same thing on the second loop. This one, there's really no excuse. You have so many places you could win the point here. You can loop right here. You can loop wide hooking this way. You can loop to his actual middle. But instead, all you're focused on is landing the shot. And so, again, you just play right to where he wants you to play. And, okay, you miss an easy shot, but still. Yeah, same there. You're letting him counter loop. Yeah, so I'd summarize. I'm going to watch the whole match, because this is an interesting one, but I'd summarize your biggest holes with two issues. The first issue is that you're not always ready to attack. Like, you'll get a ball that could have been attacked and your mentality was backwards. Your second issue is that, or actually I'd say three issues, and I'll put them all in your notes, but the second issue is when you do attack, the quality is good, the spin is good, the depth is good, the technique is good, but there's no focus on the placement. And so this allows him to just counter loop the heck out of this ball. And so you're setting yourself up for failure. And his placement's not great either. But it's enough. He is physically stronger than you to a point where it forces you to block and puts you in a bad situation. And then his placement on this last ball is very good. And then the third issue is just that you don't have enough variation and ways to make your opponent uncomfortable. You don't have a fast rocket serve to the backhand. You don't have a fade. You don't do enough with the pushes. You don't challenge your opponent enough. You kind of play the same thing over and over again in a way that's very, very simplistic. You can see like here, that's just a free point because he did something different on the push. He changed his wrist. He went really, really, really wide, and you're running for that ball. You haven't made him run like that a single time this whole match. You're just pushing right to the middle. Yeah, you're making it hard for yourself. That's fine. That's fine too. Missing like that, I will never, losing a point like that, I'll never have a problem because you played the point well up to that point and you just made a silly mistake. But the placement was better there. Just mental mistakes. Nice. However, I will note that he just gave you the type of serve that I'm saying you should give him, and it forced a weak return from you. Now, he was cheating and not watching, so he ended up playing a weak ball, but you can see he makes you uncomfortable a lot. He makes you very, very scared. Not scared like frightened, but like he makes you worried that he has other tricks up his sleeve that he can do, and you don't have that. That's fine. Little predictable. Again, you're just playing very normal, very predictable table tennis, and that's why he's having such an easy time. He knows what you're going to do. I think he knows what you're going to do before you know what you're going to do. The same ready position's not completely optimal, but it's not a huge deal. That's good. Nice. His backhand is good. Nice point. Very nice. That's fine. Yeah, on the back end itself, the reason that he's often able to play very easy balls is because you're tentative. On your own forehand, you are very confident most of the time when you loop. On your own backhand, it's this tentative loop. It's very, very tentative as you're playing. You're going through the motion right. Like, you move right. You're in the perfect position to rip this ball. Like, this ball is asking to be ripped. And because you're tentative, this is not an issue with technique. I know you know not to do this. And I know in practice you wouldn't do this. As I can tell that you have good fundamentals on the back end. This is a symptom of you being tentative on the shot and really enlarging your motion to just get it on the table. But anyway, what I was saying is this ball is just asking to be ripped. You're in the perfect position. You're ready for it. You know it's coming. Rip that ball. And I know in table tennis they have kind of a coach will normally say controlled aggression. You don't need more than 80% on the loop. But that's more for beginners and intermediates. When you're advanced and you have the shot and it's a loose ball, and at a beginner intermediate level, this isn't a loose ball. At an advanced level, this is considered a loose ball. And so this ball just needs to be punished. Now, if it wasn't a loose ball, if he'd given you a really tight serve, really good quality, then that's when you have 80% controlled aggression. You don't need to rip it. But these loose balls, you just have to, if not put away, punish them to a point where he's not able to just continue looping and force you to block the whole game. That's good. And your forehand, again, it's not tentative. It puts him under pressure. It's deep, it's spinny, it's in the corner, and now he can't counter. And then you're in a good position. Nice. Best one so far. He's very weak down the line. He likes to pivot, and you should be exploiting this a little bit more. It's fine. And I meant to bring it up earlier. I'm not hugely worried about it. Occasionally your finger on the forehand comes way up the rubber, and I have mixed opinions on it. I personally don't like it. I think that the finger should just stay here unless you are a very, 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 very good player that knows specifically when it's appropriate to bring the finger way up and when it's not. But because it's not hindering your forehand too much, I'm not too worried about it. And it's not hindering your backhand either. Like you for the most part are bringing it back down at the correct point to where I will give you a pass, but I'm pointing it out in case you're not aware of it. We take those. Nice. That was aggressive. Nice. Really good. Perfectly played point. Nice. Really nice placement. Very good. That's fine. Even though the push wasn't great, the placement the placement gave you the point basically. Again, there's no variation on the serve. It's like a repetition over and over again. If it were me, I'd literally be serving. If you didn't want to do flashy serves, I'd be serving underspin, getting this backhand, and either looping immediately down the line to win the point, or just looping one ball and then immediately switching to win the point until he proves to me that he can do something about it. Tentative again. Yeah. It's the same issues. Switch! No! Challenge his forehand. You're scared of his forehand, but his forehand has only been very good from right... Oops, my mouse is dying on me. His forehand has been very good from right here. His forehand has not been very good from right here. You just have to recognize that, challenge it. Know that when you do this, he's probably just going to give you a very slow loopy ball right here, if anything, and then you have a good chance. Yeah, that's just lucky. Well, we take those. Whew, that's a good serve. He's tilted. Yeah, this return needs to... This return is really bad. Again, this serve is long and you're not ready for it. Like I mentioned before, expect long, ready to loop until you literally are like, wait, this ball physically can't be looped, and then you can push. So you need to be ready to loop this. But if you're going to push or not loop, do something funky with it. Do a fade shot right here. Push it right here. Go with the spin. Do something to add some quality or some variation or something to make the opponent uncomfortable when you do end up going for the push. I mean, there you did try to go deep to the corner. It's just it's not quite enough. You're letting him do exactly what he wants. It's just tentative. That's good. Nice. Tentative. There's some nerves here. Yeah, okay. I will type up your notes and I'll kind of go over where I think your level is, and then I will be back. Alright, I've got my notes typed up for you. I will DM you this file so you have it for your reference. And it is relatively simple notes, but I genuinely think that just fixing this stuff, in addition to your training, because I think that physically you need to get a little bit stronger. So you need a little bit faster footwork, a little bit, like, get your body physically stronger so your shots are a little bit higher quality. But that'll happen on its own as you train, so I'm not too worried about it. But I think just honing down this stuff that's relatively simple will allow you to improve quite quickly. So, firstly, whenever your opponent is pushing, like I mentioned a few times throughout the review, your first idea needs to be backhand loop, your second idea should be forehand loop, and then just react to everything else. And get this to a point where whenever your opponent gives you a long ball, you have no trouble whatsoever looping with quality and you're not caught pushing. And then once you're at a point where you can do this absolutely perfectly, like no issues whatsoever, then we can move on to maybe some more advanced stuff and what to do next. But let's get to this point first, where no matter what, this is no problem. And for what it's worth, in regard to this point, an occasional push is totally fine, even against a long ball. If and only if you were ready to loop first, and the push has a genuine purpose. So, or even an occasional, like it doesn't have to necessarily be a loop every time, as long as the loop was your first idea. And so, like, if you're pushing or fading, it has a genuine purpose to exploit something or set up a bread and butter, and you know that doing the push in some circumstance will give you a guaranteed opportunity to win the point. However, that's not to say that tactic should be push and hope your opponent misses. That's not a valid tactic. So it's not push and hope they miss, but anyway, you should get what I'm trying to say. But it's not fine to push or fade or do something funky if it's because you were ready to push from the get-go, the ball came long, and you pushed just because you weren't ready to loop. So hopefully that makes sense. Second point, when you loop your backhand against underspin and against serves, you are extremely tentative. You need to go for this shot with way more confidence and accelerate explosively at the point of contact. Your technique itself is good, but you get so scared of missing that you start making your shot huge and lose all your quality. So in other words, you over-exaggerate your shot. In order to get the ball on the table, you have this huge, massive follow-through, and it's actually more dangerous to play like that than to keep it compact and play explosive and just accelerate at the point of contact. When you do attack, especially on your forehand, because your forehand loop is already very good, so when you do attack and you're not tentative and the shot works the way it should and it connects, the quality in terms of your velocity and your spin and your depth is already very good. Good enough to win the point if your placement were a little better. It's good enough to win the point against just about anyone, even much higher level players, if your placement was better, instead of just playing to the middle or not really thinking about it. So really focus on exactly where you want your loops to land, instead of just hoping the shot itself lands and that's all you're thinking about, and maybe you have some general area of the table in mind. Be really specific with this. And then finally, this is a more minor point, but I still want you to keep it in mind. Try to have more variation in the rest of your game. Not necessarily like variation for the sake of variation, because you want your bread and butter, but you just need more ways to test things to see if there's something that could make your opponent uncomfortable. Now, your serve is very good already. Your serve is extremely good. However, I want you to make it even better. Work on it even more. If you aren't getting people who say, dang, if only I could have returned your serves, then the serves aren't good enough yet. So like I said, maybe work on a rocket serve, just stuff that makes your opponent uncomfortable. And then I'd like to see you add a forehand fade to your arsenal as well. Don't worry so much about adding forehand flip kills and banana flips and strawberry flips yet. I don't think that that's really necessary at the point you're at right now. But I do think that this shot, if you add it to your arsenal, would be extremely beneficial, considering the way you like to approach the serve returns. And then when you do push, like I mentioned earlier, just do so with true purpose and know your own shot. Now, in terms of your level, I know you said on an international standard, but we really don't... There is no international standard for rating other than world ranking. So the best that I could give you is a rating estimate of where I think you are on the USATT scale. And I think you're somewhere between, if I had to guess, maybe between 1700 and 1900, plus or minus 100. You might be a little under 17, you might be a little over 1900. I think your opponent may have been around the 2000 level. He looks quite solid, but that's that's kind of where I think you're at. But anyway, that's going to do it for this match review. I really hope that that was helpful. And to everyone watching at home, thank you all so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave it a big thumbs up. And until next time.